let's say you have a checklist that you go through whenever you, for example, onboard a new client, or maybe you have a weekly, like Monday startup checklist that you like to go through, and you want to manage this in Notion, but you want to assign it as a parent task with subtasks. One of the best solutions to achieve this in Notion is to create a database task template with a button on the page that when you click the button, it's going to generate new sub items that assign to the parent task that you just created. So I'm going to walk you through how to do this in Notion, and let's go ahead and dive in. So first up, you're going to want to come into your database templates over using the chevron, the down chevron in that new button. And I'm going to go ahead, in this case, I'm just going to duplicate a purple one because purple's my favorite. And here we go. Okay, so we have this new task template with sub items. This is still the database item that we're creating. What I'm going to go ahead and do, let's just assign some of these default items. So let's say this is actually kind of a low priority thing. Let's go ahead and assign it to the purple project default we have in there. And then you'll see parent task in Eisenhower. I'm not actually using Eisenhower right now, so we don't need to worry about that. And we don't need to worry about parent task because this page is going to be the parent task. So now that you have this set up, you do not want to come in here and add subtasks to this template. Whenever you create a new task from this template, it's going to relate the new task to these old subtasks that were automatically related in this template. So what we want to do is go ahead and come down to the page content. We're going to create a button. And let's say new subtasks. And because I love icons, let's go ahead and do a cute little checklist and make it purple because this is a purple task. So once you have the button set up, what you want to do is add a new action. And what you're going to do is add page 2. So what we want to do is add a new page to your tasks database. Let's go ahead and again set this up as a purple task template, and we're going to start populating the properties that we want to set up in this task. So one thing that I love doing is creating a formula where I can either pull in the name of the parent item or link to a relevant page. But in this case, let's just go ahead and create subtask 1. And now we're just going to go through and assign as many properties as we can. We'll go assign it to me. If it's something where you know the specific person it's always going to be assigned to, then you can just hard code it to that person. Or what you can do is assign it to whoever clicks the button or whoever created the page that the button is on. And what you want to do is just fill out as many properties as you can. But this is where it's going to get really cool. So let's do a due date. So this is where I love Notion formulas. So let's take the due date and we want to make the sub item due 3 days before the parent task is due. So let's go date subtract, and we can go to this page dot due, comma, 3, comma, days. And what this formula is doing is it's telling Notion that we want the due date for this particular subtask to be 3 days before the parent due date is assigned. So let's save that. And then finally, this is where Notion gets really cool and a little meta. So what we want to do is assign the parent task. And what we're going to do is select this page. And this is where you could create a list of predefined checklist items or sub items for a task that you create the new task from a template. The button is already living in the template. So every time you create a new task from that template, the button's already there. And all you need to do is with the quick click of a button, create all of the sub items for that parent task. So we have sub item 1 complete. Now, here's a cool hack that I like to do whenever I'm generating task lists and buttons like this. If you fill out as much information as you can, let's go ahead and just do the rest of these. By default, we're going to say it's purple. Status is, we'll go ahead and leave it as the default. But if it's something where when you click the button and the sub item automatically is in progress, then you can set the default status to in progress. But Once you have everything filled out, instead of clicking add action and starting from scratch like we just did, what I like to do is you can actually hover over that first step, click those 3 dots, and then just duplicate it. And now I'm going to rename the title. This is subtask 2, same thing, but let's say this needs to be completed 2 days before. So we're going to go and update the formula to be 2 days before the parent task due date. And just for funsies, let's go ahead and say whenever you click the button, subtask 1 is automatically in progress. Now let's go ahead and do one more subtask. Let's duplicate it. I'm just going to rename this as subtask 3. Everything else stays the same. Or let's say the 3rd step is the most important. So let's change priority on that. And this needs to be completed 1 day before the parent task is due. So now that has been done, we have new task template with sub items. So let's go ahead and create a new task with sub items. So you've created the new task, and we know that those sub items are dependent on whatever the due date is for this parent task. So we want to assign the due date for this. Let's say this is something that needs to be due next Friday. So the due date is June 6th, and we don't have anything else filled out here. Boom, boom, boom. And let's click those subtasks, and look at that. There they are. And from here, if you want to actually go in, you can adjust what properties you're seeing in those subtasks. This is something that I haven't updated yet, but let's update due date, priority, and there we go. And you can see subtask 1 already in progress because we clicked that button, and that's what the default setting is that we used. And we see due date is June 6th, 3 days before, 2 days before, 1 day before. How freaking cool is that? I hope this tutorial was helpful, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'd love to help walk you through your next Notion question. Thanks.